Hey everyone, welcome back to my tutorial series. I had to wait a little bit to make this episode because I really tried to get a new PB so I can show off the what is currently agreed upon as the best route. I don't know if it's gonna change in the future, but this should stay for a while. It's got some cool stuff and I hope I can show you some good movement. If you're just here to just see where the Wisp locations are, hi. Don't pay too much mind to the movement. It might not really apply to Catch More and Shiny Charm too much. This is very much any percent optimized, so I'm gonna just start. We can skip all of Fieldlands because there's literally nothing going on, as you can see. It's just all you already know. I actually had a bad start to the run with Shinx Breakout, so yeah, you don't see the timer, I do. So this wasn't really likely to PB, but I had a good beautiful section, and then from then on, with a mix of rustiness, it is all good. So we already know this from the 80% tutorial, that you can run up to the tree like this and collect it through the tree. I'm just re-mentioning it because this is the first of 107 that we're gonna collect before we have to speak with Vesa again at this very location. So if you're struggling to find Vesa, Vesa will stand right here, and then you're all good. I'm gonna gloss over everything in terms of research and stuff. The only important thing is the movement to the Wisps. So like I got my usual 80% setup team for Toxicroak, the fight here. And the first Wisp, when we exit the fight here, unfortunately I cannot quite skip in the way I want to. So what I do here is, there's actually a few places you can jump from, because there's a few like compatible paths. I personally like to come on VSC. Let's go back a little bit so it doesn't glitch out. I'll try to point as it plays. You see this little ledge sticking out here? This ledge here, I like to use that to kind of like jump towards here. This is one of the furthest sticking out bits you can use. If you jump late, you can just land here. Maybe you're a little bit short, you might be a bit more in the water, maybe you can climb out, I'm not sure. Just jump as late as possible and you're immediately landing and running with Weird Ear on this side here. For catching more and stuff, you can pick up the ores, but like, you just warp here and complete that, then route completes giving this fragment back. And then we're going to do this movement here. It's the same as 80% where we go over this ledge here. But instead of heading this way and like going to the Paras and stuff, there's a Wisp way out here. You can climb it from the other side. I don't like it too much. Like if you're like doing like Badoo early and then like catch a Paras here, you can kind of like climb up here. It looks a little glitchy again, but yeah, VSC is not the best player sometimes. But you can kind of like climb this low ledge here. You can see like this little dip here. You can land on that and jump up to get to this Wisp. It's easy to fall in the water though, so yeah. I was looking for Cricketod because I haven't finished Cricketod. So that was fun. And then the next Wisp is just in this corner here. I find it very forgettable if you're like doing Paras and then like move on to the next research. If you're like just in an 80% mindset. This one I feel like it's easy to forget. Although the easiest to forget is the next one. So I'm just gonna skip ahead. Like we're just gonna go to the Teddy segment. Let's keep in mind Teddy segment, and then you have like Cricketune backup here. In this case, I knew my stuff spread was going to run out soon, so because I didn't get Cricketune here, I just went for more catches. This Wisp here is very, very easy to forget. There is a backup climb you can do. I don't know if there's a video or so showing it, but you can kind of like use here kind of steps where you go like, I think right and then right again, but like the final jump, I think you just have to go left when you go up. Sometimes I might do this back up because I forget this Wisp. It's really easy to forget when you're like just focusing on research and just jump down to Pachirisu. From up here, you can directly jump over if you go slightly to the right when you jump. That is all I can say to that. I'm not gonna show it here because I don't need it. Alright, I'm gonna do Pachirisu research. And then if you head over here, you can get the Wisp here that is in the middle of the lake. It's like, you can just stand in it, you run up with Weird Ear, I'm just waiting for this catch to finish. That is something you need to pay attention to for catch Spiritomb, where if you wanna like, in general, in Pokemon in this game, wait for the catch to finish before you enter a battle, a cutscene, or whatever else you're interacting with. The only thing that's okay is the menu. And yeah, just grabbing some unspotted catches here, and then you already saw the jump that is actually fairly new. We only know about this for like 1.5 years at this point, where you jump off this little ledge here. I like to again like choose the furthest path, and my lineup for this is kind of like, you see this little sticking out thing. If you like land a bit more square here, you tend to be able to land maybe a bit to the left. It's hard to tell. I don't have enough experience yet with it to fully know the ins and outs. As you might maybe know with the Coastlands climb that I already published a video on, which is currently unlisted, but it's again linked in the video description as in the innocent part. But that jump is crucial to get over to this part from below there. And here I'm just picking up the Crogunks. I'm keeping in mind that there's this little elevated surface. That one saw me. Like this elevated surface here. You have a Wisp right on top of this centerpiece here. You just jump up and then grab it. Now the next Wisp that we're targeting is the Alpha Sliggoo spawn. And it's just on this island here. Just pay attention to where the Alpha is looking, so you can like not get screamed at. So I knew the Alpha was looking this way, so I was jumping like purposely to the back of this, so I can grab the Wisp before it's really like turning around and screaming at me. And then because I'm leaving, I don't need to care about it anymore. So yeah, for the jump over, I'll show you that quickly. There's not much to it, just look out for this little opening here. This is kind of like meant so you don't need to jump when using your swimming option, Basculegion, because this area is intended to be only reachable with Basculegion, but we can jump over just about. You have this ledge sticking out here again that I like to use, jump as late as possible, and you just land very cleanly. You can even land in the water, completely dismount, and then just swim to the edge. It'll be enough to put you on the ground. That's gonna be a theme for another jump like that later on. But yeah, I'm just doing Hippo research and then Ursaluna fight. And then after Ursaluna, we have this little like path here to the right. These elevated things are not nice to go onto, but we can kind of like take this elevated path and do the jumps. Just make sure to like really like jump late. There's a little bit of a ledge behind that to be able to land here. And then I had to do a bit of backup research because things were cringe. I almost died. The important thing here is the Wisp. You see this elevated surface again. It is on top there. I'm pretty sure I already picked it up at that point. So yeah, there we go. That's me picking it up. It's just on here. You can just jump up step by step. There's nothing much to it, and that is the first section of Mirelands already. These episodes are going to be a bit shorter because I've already covered every essential that there is. Of course, catch them all will be a big post-game focus. Oops, I already skipped some Wisps. So yeah, that is kind of like it. So when you go here, like you do your normal like kind of like rectangular research. I'm picking up my last catches here. It actually helps out to kind of like wait out for catch timing. I hear the last one going. You saw Party getting USP. Then I picked up this Wisp. This Wisp is also memorable for catch mode because this tree here is a Cherubi holding tree. Well, it can also hold Pachirisu or Charon, but Cherubi is very likely there if it shakes. So that's actually for catch mode, very important. Then I just drop down into the cutscene. Do a normal climb up here that you've already seen before in any percent. And before we head to the settlement, we have this higher plateau here. That on the edge facing the settlement, there is a Wisp right here. That is already half the Wisps in Mirelands. Then we, again, for this category also trigger the warp. And we're gonna get the Rhyhorns. Instead of going to the left and going like this path with the leaf piles, I'm heading much more directly to this mission. And you see this little ledge, I just kind of like want to walk around it. And then you have this kind of like area here where you can actually climb. It doesn't really look like it, but you can run up this area here and just try to land up there. I just saw a spoiled apricot not getting in my inventory, so I'm just clearing out something. So I'm picking up stun items. But you gotta work with a dismount here to just get a little bit of airtime. And then just run up, and this area here holds the Wisp. Next Wisp might be a bit harder to find if you're like busy with something. I'll be doing some research in the middle here. Got some stun items for that. So I wasn't sure if I already finished this, so yeah, I just gave it a stun. That actually was very needed. Wait, this Wisp is actually really easy to forget. Like, that corner is very unassuming if you just run up to it. You might think there's not really much here. Of course, this is a bit of an open space, which is a bit of a giveaway that something might be here. But this Wisp, in experience for longer categories, is really easy to forget. So you grab this before you head over to the Lilligant thing. You do this, and then once you're done, I'm gonna go to this exact point. You just run down, and this is something that you also do if you like have a fast finish to catch more or so. Normally if Pokemon spawn here, they're gonna get angry at you, and then you drop down, get this, and actually it doesn't take long for them to not be angry anymore because you're out of sight, being like dropped this far down. So it's not too bad to get like noticed by Pokemon. Like, there's worse things than that. So that is actually very acceptable. And yeah, you just warp and back to the settlement in this case, because we now collect all the other Wisps. Because it's nighttime, you're gonna be able to see them. There's some spawns on the way you might be able to catch, but yeah, this first Wisp, I find it also quite forgettable because it's kind of like on this higher ledge. If you come for the settlement, it's not too hard to miss. And next ones, I feel like are also not too hard to miss. While I'm doing my movement here, you'll see me pick up a few extra Pokemon here and there, or try to. This Wisp is below the Togetic. That's how I always remember it. There's a Togetic flying around. That's much more important for longer categories, because we don't really have a means to catch that. Yeah, I'm just going around doing some extra catches if I can. Got a bit unlucky. Here you can just, like, you see this little ledge? You can just go up on this. It doesn't really look like it. Again, like, there's so many spots where it just doesn't look like you can go on it. But this was just one of those spots where you can just walk on it, really. Like, jump on it and then another dismount on the top. For catch more, I might be able, I don't know what my PP did, or Shiny Charm. I might be able to show you different movement options. I hope I can. So if you really want to see all the movement options, just check out the playlist, check out the later episodes that I hope I get to release very quickly after this, so you're not left on a kind of like way more of like, I said it's going to be shown here and there and just not going to come out for a while. I'm going to go for a big recording session on this very day, 5th of September. But yeah, you see me I just jump after I collect the Wisp, which is conveniently on the highest platform. Just like the Wisp earlier near the Pachirisus. You can jump from that too. And here I like to kind of like aim more to left, which shortens the distance. The ideal thing is to land on Weirdier, take the fall damage, because that means no dismount. In this case, I take the fall damage and the dismount because I'm just like in this in-between area of, hey, this is too much water, and hey, you've hit the ground. So yeah, that was like the least ideal landing you can have, and then you just head kind of like to the right. Just follow this kind of like elevated path a little bit until you spot this path where you can just go in the middle, just avoiding the Alpha Yanmega that is more to the left, and then you can just jump up here. I like to like get pushed to the right, and then it's easier to jump up there for some reason. And here you can just run up and get this Wisp. So yeah, you saw 3 Wisps left. We're almost through Mirelands already, just 50 minutes of the video. You just follow the hill to the right, and then you head over here. You see these little steps we can use to get up, and the first one you want to approach from the left here. And sometimes, in this case, I got kind of lucky that I just got pushed up using the elevated part here. And then just another jump with a dismount. And gets up here. Just ignore the two alphas in the background here. Kind of crazy to see them next to each other. I was like, wow, that's two alphas. And then we just follow that elevated path until we kind of like head over here. There's this elevated rock here that has Wisp. You might be able to drive by a Pokemon on the way. Again, just jump up here. If you go a little bit further along, as you can see, I just walked up. And then you just jump up. Maybe a dismount if needed. It's not too complicated. Now the final jump. I have to admit, I don't have too much experience with it. I hope visually this is going to help as much as possible. I'll probably learn a thing or two by just looking at this. So yeah, first of all, you aim for this and then you kind of like aim for the right. You want to be in here. Your goal is to be in here, in this kind of like little ledge, which I feel like is a bit hard to get to. Maybe I'm missing like an in-between step here. But that's something that will come with experience, I think. So yeah, I'm just experimenting a little bit here because this is like my third run or so. And then I finally realized, hey, dismount might help. But then I got stuck after the dismount. So yeah, you might be able to like work up yourself up with dismounting and stuff. But you saw like I actually managed to land on a little ledge there. And when you're here, what you want to do is you want to dismount in a way that you land on the ground here. So like not a late, kind of like an early dismount, so you can land here. And sort of like the Coastlands climb, you can kind of like do this frame walking thing a little bit. And then with Wheelie you can do the rest via up here. If you really struggle with this movement, it's not too slow to go a little bit around the whole hill. Just kind of like walk up. It's not too big, but of course this is a more direct path to the final Wisp of Mirelands. Alright, with Mirelands done, we report the research, we have the talk with Benny, and we are here because we don't head to the Galaxy Hall yet, because we just walk over the bridge backwards. This is the closest spawn point we will have to this Wisp, so we just take advantage of it. And we want to go into this gap between the houses, because in the middle of all of this, there's our next Wisp. Thanks to nighttime, it's very visible, very nice to find. It is a very comfy Wisp to grab at this point, and yeah, we just finish up the mission, and then the next cutscenes leave us at the beach, because at the beach is the next Wisp. So normally in like any percent you would just warp immediately, but we head to the left here. We just go to this tree, you'll find the Wisp very, very easily here. And after we grab the Wisp, we can warp, and then we have a bit of Ginter shopping. And after the shopping, we just walk to the back here, because behind the Galaxy Hall, we have another Wisp waiting for us right here to this left side, which is why it's very good to go from the Ginter shop, because on this side of the building. And then I walk to the training ground to get to this. And after the crafting, we just head around the building. There's a gap to walk into. Like, I almost forgot it here. And then I remembered, oh wait, Wisp. And you have this gap here that you can walk into. And right behind this whole building stuff is already the Wisp. Like, it's very, very close. It's very nice, nicely placed. And that is Wisp number 5 of 7 for the village. Like that, we've already picked up a ton of Wisps here. And that is the Jubilee Village section. Alright, next up, Coastlands. We're just gonna gloss over everything until we are at this part. Like, I've already done the radio part. You know where the shops are, the Alpha Machoke. You have this higher kind of like hill thing, and that's where Wisp number 1 is. I could gloss over the jumps here a little bit too. You wanna just try to aim to land on the green with a dismount, and then frame walk stuff and wheelie mounting helps a ton. And then I'm gonna gloss over the jumps here a little bit, because I have a video that goes more into detail. As I said, it's linked in the video description. Just check it out if you really want to go into every detail of the jumps. I try to go as detailed as possible. I really spent way too much time with these jumps to really know what I'm doing. Although this is like run number 2, that not run number 3 that got here since my return after 2 months of not playing, so I'm a little bit rusty. but I quickly decided to go right side for this jump because I feel like it's just more consistent. Yes, you can fall off to the right and die, but I find it very consistent to aim for this landing with a dismount. And yeah, you got your Vulpix section after Wisp 2. You don't head over to Wisp 3 yet on the map. You want to get the mission out of the way first. And then you catch your Morphums here. You can go up here if you want, although I don't recommend it. It's very sketchy. There's a much safer alternative that you'll be able to see here, where you just kind of go up here. And then you can use this area here to land and jump up. You might need to dismount again, like so. And the Wisp is down here, which is why the other path is actually not too bad, because it's a bit more direct to the Wisp. But it is much safer this way. But we want to fall off anyway, because down below is our next Wisp. Like, if you look at the map on my notes, you'll see that Wisp 3 and 4 are incredibly close to each other. And you're like, how do I get there? And this is where a little bit of an exploit comes into play. As I've already mentioned in the Big Cleaver episode, with using, like, having an item held in your hand to scale steeper cliffs by just walking normally instead of being slowed down in your walking pace. That kind of same exploit can be done to be able to walk on this very steep cliff just for a moment, to just land step by step on your way down, so you never take lethal fall damage. And the worst that I've seen is you can end up in red health from this fall. So I like to choose this. Like, if you look at the positioning I choose, it's just kind of like personal preference in this. I believe you can go even earlier here, but I like to choose this lower part here as kind of like my aiming point where I want to start. And at this point, I'm just holding into the hill, so I can land step by step, like land kind of thing. And I'm already down here. I only took twice fall damage. And that is a very, very quick way to get down to the Wisp that is at the edge of this low area here towards the sea. And now we have to head over to the other edge, but up on the hill for the next one. So yeah, that is the cool drop down thing that I've actually shown off at a low marathon thing as an incentive. Kind of like glitch exploit incentive thing. Was really cool. I don't know if I have the link to that. I might be able to find it. Actually, I should have it in my playlist of like speedrunning moments of me on other channels. It's gonna be linked if I find it in the description. Maybe with a timestamp to this part. But we finally found a use for it in the video, in the speedrun. So yeah, it's very nice. So you already saw me pick up that one Wisp. Here, these jumps actually, they are not as hard. Everything that's kind of like green is like you go to friend, although it doesn't really look that way. That little cliff that I just run up to, you can just run on that surface. Like, you see, it's not really that steep. And this whole, like the shadow from the tree is a good indicator for where you could walk on that low hill to go up. So I go up here. Yeah, VLC, thank you. Here I jump to the right to be able to land with dismounting. Here I do it to the left, kind of. Like, I position myself to the left and then go into the right, upright here. And then pick this Wisp up. And then a bit more movement that I'm not that familiar with yet is this way. Probably can go much more direct with dropping down. I'm a bit scared of taking fall damage. And here I want to try to get an unspotted Morphin out of this, which is why I stealth straight up. But you can already see this kind of like ledges here. We've actually not known about these ledges really existing here, so I kind of like zigzag my way up here a little bit, which is wrong because you gotta use this. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it yet, but lots of dismounting from jumps, and you're quickly up here, and at the edge of this path here is your Wisp, and that is Wisp number 7. That's the first segment really done in terms of Coastlands. And then I just do some stuff, get myself ready, do a spiel part, run up here. And when you are going over the hill, if you go to the middle here, there's like, that starts the camp quest, which you don't want to do in Catch Spiritomb or any percent. So you take this hill, but that's all kind of like normal. You go over here because the Wisp is kind of like a bit out of the way, but it's not too bad. It might mess with your stealth timing in terms of making it to Togepi. But in my case, I didn't even get the spawns, so yeah. And for those who might see the map, are like, there's a Wisp over here on that little island thing in the water. Like, why don't we grab it? Well, the reason is, it is not the best movement right now, because we are on a tight timer still with the daytime. So we want to focus on Shoutout at this point and everything that comes after. So I'm gonna skip through this part. We already got Dusclops then. I had a bit of troubles. And then when you get that, you actually want to go further into this, because after this you warp. And you already see Wisp number 9 over here. And we just walk over, just jump up and grab it, and then Wisp number 10. You have this kind of like hand thing. Take this one here to the right of this kind of like pillar thing that is important for unlocking Manaphy. You might even pick up a box on the way to like get some cool items, although none really helped me that much here. And then probably a Ultra Ball drop there, but I didn't care too much. And you just walk back, sort out party inventory stuff a little bit if you want. And then for this Wisp here, it's actually very simple to jump up to. So you just you have this kind of like on the side here where you can just run up and just dismount on peak of your jump, and that's good to go. So yeah, and then you just follow that path. There's another Wisp. It's very straightforward in this way. You just gotta like follow what you've seen, and then I just do a bit more research and do the quest stuff. And we're gonna skip through all of this. Now comes the only little piece of movement that feels like a bit of a time waste, but it actually makes sense in the end, surprisingly, where we kind of like cross paths with us earlier, but now we can swim, which helps a little bit on being faster and having things a little easier, because now we actually go pick up this Wisp. The only reason why we have to come back here with the swimming ability is we don't really have a way to like get away from this Wisp over here on this island. Good pathing for getting Dustox in your party for the research. There's a way to get here without Basket Legion using an exploit with Ursaluna, where if you constantly remount Ursaluna, you can kind of like hover in the air for a really long distance. And but it doesn't really help you to come back from that island, so we're waiting until we have Basket Legion to be here, and then I'm gonna skip through this Dustox catch. Like, we just head to the water and like towards the hand again, because this little island here, like you see the beach here for where the ship was, and this little island here has the next Wisp. And then we go do the Shallows part. And after the Shallows part, instead of heading towards the tentacle stuff over there, we actually had backwards, because this island here, on this extended path here at the end, has another Wisp for us, as you can see right there. And then towards the right, we have a little tunnel that is usable. You can't see it from... There we go. Now you can see it. This is the tunnel that you can actually go through, which is a much more direct path to get to the story part, which is why we're heading there. I'm just doing Dustox research, going through the tunnel, pick up some Finneon after going through it. And now, instead of heading to the volcano, you see this little island out here. This one also holds a Wisp. It is probably the most out of the way Wisp that we have. I was just looking for more Finneon here. I'm gonna skip a bit here because it's just swimming. And yeah, this is probably the most out of the way Wisp we have. So it is really easy to forget. Actually, in the run previous to this, I did forget it. So it is very, very likely that you get to forget that Wisp. And then once you are on Firespit Island, just follow the path a little bit after this cutscene, instead of jumping up immediately, because on this ledge here, you have your Wisp here. And then you can decide, do you want to run for the Pokemon or do you just want to go around the back? It doesn't really matter too much. If you have good movement, you can do like me. I personally am a big fan of that because then I don't have to deal with Pokemon. It doesn't really matter too much. There's not really much to gain from drive-by catches at this point. Maybe it'll be Magmar, like 40 points, but it's not as worth it as other Pokemon. I already got my Graveler, so there wasn't really much to gain for me in terms of points, regardless of spawns. And I managed to remember that I need to evolve my Gastrodon. And from here on, it's just normal 80% story with a bit of research stuff, like the Teddiursa Evo I needed to do because I fucked up Teddiursa real bad. Which is why I almost died collecting Wisp number 8 in Mirelands. But yeah, once you finish this cutscene, notice that you're kind of like behind the gate to the arena, which you didn't have access to before. And what you want to do is kind of like go over here to the left. I didn't go far enough. I gotta go a bit further over here, which I'll realize in a moment. Because here's kind of like a path that you can go up to. Here it doesn't really quite work, as you can see. And then I finally switched to the right path, where you can see it's much easier to go up. And from here on, just take a leap of faith. Just jump as far out as possible, because there's just water, you cannot die. And you want to head back here, because here is your 19th Wisp. And then just swim around the back of the volcano. It is the fastest way to get to Wisp number 20, which is another island around the volcano. Kind of like a theme here. And there's no Pokemon spawns around here, so there's no issues with being seen. Maybe towards like more towards this area here, you have like your Alpha Tentacruel and shit like that, but not where the Wisp is. But it's around the trees here. Just remember the trees, and that is the last Wisp of Coastlands. It's a bit of a quick fire video, I know that, but there's not much to it in terms of the Wisp locations. And the fundamentals I've already talked plenty about in the 80% episode, which is already extensive enough. So I'm just mentioning things that are new, which is gonna be the same for the next two as well, in terms of Catchmore and Shiny Charm, where I won't be able to really like go into like a factual analysis and just kind of like mention like cool things that helped me, because there's too much that I can really encompass into a video. Because there's just too much that really depends on just knowledge and just experience. For those categories, you just want to run the game as much as possible to really learn as much. But yeah, we're just going to ignore everything until we are required to go here with the story. Because behind this training facility, if you go around the left, we'll quickly stumble across a Wisp. Behind here, I almost forgot to play. Well, we pick up the Wisp here, and then we warp to the farm, because behind this kind of like farm thingy, there's a little like hut thingy here. We have another Wisp waiting for us, and that is the last Wisp of Jubilee Village. You should see this message here. We've collected all the Wisps here, and then we're happy. And time to go to Highlands. And now we go to something that I don't think we can really agree on how to do it. It's personal preference if you want to get the Wisp and then set to evening, or set to evening then get the Wisp and then walk back and do the rest. Very much personal preference. Go as you please. I personally would go for this because I'm not going for catches yet, and there's enough catches anyway to do. The only goal that I have is have this not get angry at me. If it gets angry at me, just jump into the river. Jump into the river, wait until it's gone with being angry, and then you can warp. But if you manage to avoid this getting angry at you, it only spotted me. The Wisp is up here, by the way. But it didn't get angry at me, so I was able to warp immediately. I took my chance and got away from that corner. Then I sleep. And then you have the mega pickups. The only important thing is towards the side here, where another Yamega resides, is the Wisp. So down here, normally, like after I get all my catches, I head to the cave. But you see that ore here, you see Yamega. This is where the Wisp is. So just like at the edge of this path, as usual, where the Wisps are located. It's like always at the edge of paths and stuff. That's your second Wisp, and then we head into the cave, where after this whole cutscene stuff, we could leave, but in this cave we have our Wisp number 3. Of course, the map doesn't quite show it. I only have it like placed on where the cave entrance is. But if you go through that tunnel, back here in this corner is our next Wisp. There's a cool, interesting thing to do here, just as kind of like tech with alphas anyway. See where they look at and try to move into the back. In this case, I just about managed to get here with the alpha not turning quickly enough for me to be noticed and it doing its scream here. So I was able to get through, and then I do an extra turn because I wanted to grab the Zubat. That's at least 40 extra points. With a rock kill, it's 60 points, 50 points if I don't get a rock kill in a mandatory fight. So I just picked that up, and then when you do the BloodDerg research here, you have this little waterfall to the side of this area here, and there's a little island in the middle of that. Just give me a moment. Right here, this is where the Wisp is. I feel like it's also forgettable. I've definitely had plenty of runs where I did forget it, and then I had a bit of issues with BloodDerg, so let's skip through this fight here, and you already see this is Wisp number 5. Now this one is one of the most special ones to pick up, because the movement itself isn't as trivial as it might seem. It's actually quite tough, but there's a lot of like positioning weird here and just doing some climbing that wasn't really intended in the game. Like the moment you're on this kind of like wall segment, you'll lose the ability to mount weird here when you're up here. You're not meant to be on a mount when you're here. And the game is literally scripted to not let you mount one of your mount Pokemon when you're here. So what I do here, if you want to land with weird here, straight line it as much as possible. Aim for this corner here to land. And jump as late as possible. If you are not fully comfortable with it, just go for a dismount. It's not too bad. Of course, the drop down will be a little slower with you flying through the air, but not everyone gets this every time. Even I struggle with it from time to time. There's a chance that it might not even let you dismount because it considers you to be in an invalid state for that. It's a bit tricky. Just if you fail, trigger the cutscene, try again. Other than that, if you collect it, just go into the cutscene and you got to go. And after leaving, you have this path here and this elevated section here. At day, I feel like it's easier to miss, but you can just run up this wall here. There's nothing to it, no jumping required. Just walk up and you're good to go. And then head into this mandatory fight here, and then once you're done with that, you head to the right. Past the Alpha Bronzong here, and they're up there between trees. Nice visual marker for where it's supposed to be. You have the next Wisp. Another movement is kind of universal in a way. You can just jump up there. You might want to dismount sometimes, maybe not. Just force your way up there, it's fine. There's not much to it. You don't need to climb necessarily now because of the climb. Things are a bit easier with climbing, with jumping. And this movement is a bit more research optimized for Gligar. So yeah, don't get discouraged if you get a little bit stuck. You just climb your way out. But you want to climb to the top here because this little lake here in the middle of it has your next Wisp to collect. And then one Wisp that I feel like it's easiest to forget if you're in a rush. Like you drop down, try to get this Gligar unspotted. I failed, got a little unlucky with the turn. But on the edge of this elevated path, you have your next Wisp. Then you run back because you gotta follow the higher path to Wisp number 10. It's also mentioned in my notes like that. There I just got scammed again on that. Here, I find it a bit awkward to jump up. It looks very possible to jump up, but it's actually kind of tricky. I think I already mentioned that in 80%, but just wanted to mention that again. Now I'll skip through the research a little bit. Normally any percent would already head down to the Highlands, but we need to walk forward. What I like to do here is I want to jump a bit to the right here. So I can kind of like land in a nice position, maybe even up here already. Most of the time it won't work. You need a super late jump for that, and then You just walk across here, and because it's nighttime in this case, you already see what a wisp is. This is kind of easy to forget. And the geometry around here is also very sketchy. I've had a moment where I landed, like jumped from the other direction, landed on this, and had this kind of like frame landing where you land but you don't. And it conserves your momentum but deflects it in the direction of where you'd fall to. And it can really throw you off the mountain. I think I still have a clip of it. It's probably gonna be linked in the description too. I think it should be openly available. I think it's public, but it'll be linked. You'll be able to find it that way. It is a very scary ledge. I have my scares about it. And then I just followed this path, used this wall to minimize fall damage a little bit. Do toxic rock research that kind of like failed me a little bit. And then instead of heading the other way, where the Sneasels that are a bit lower level live, you want to head into this pathway here, which if you follow along all the way, you're at the entrance of the quarry where we had that fight already. But here we want to head to the right here. You see this kind of like pathing here you can take. You can kind of like run across, maybe a jump. And it's very easy to get across. The edge of the map is already right here, so if you suddenly find yourself in a ton of fog and it says you cannot go any further, that's why. This is already the edge of the map, just keep that in mind. And we follow this path here to this wisp. And then if once we're here, up here, you already saw the next wisp. It's just up there. Just climb up to it, get the wisp, and then head towards the waterfall here. Left or right doesn't really matter too much. In this case I wanted to get gun tank research, so I went to the right. Day night doesn't really matter, but when you're up here, just look out for this elevated surface. The other one just ignore because there's a tree, but this one, the empty one, is the better one to focus on for the wisp. If it's day already, if you've messed up too much or something, you might not see the wisp anymore. Just grab that. Then for the category itself, grab a Sneasel here, because we need one for last mandatory fight in Icelands. And then just climb up here to the Alpha Repair area. You see a few pillars here, but the further most right one here, that's out here, kind of like on the other edge. It's hard to describe perfectly, but it's the one without an item on it, of course. This one, like, when you climb up, it's just to your right to get that wisp. And the next one, you see this cave entrance here. Then you just aim for this cave entrance here to go for that wisp. So, yeah. That is what you want to aim for. You climb up over the wall. It's actually right behind that wall where you find the next wisp. Just look out for the circle here. I feel like it's a very nice visual indicator. And then the next one is actually to the right here. You have this higher peak here. Also a nice double rotom. Wow, double rotom. I didn't really realize. Only saw one of them. There was a double rotom spawn. That's incredibly rare. Oh my goodness. You don't see these things immediately if you don't focus on them. But I was like, oh yeah, I got a rotom spawn here. But no, I just saw a double rotom. Anyway, you saw that climb. It's like, of course it's daytime. Probably if I was faster, it would still be nighttime and you'd be able to see it. But eventually, if you're on this ledge, kind of its highest up ledge, you'll see the wisp eventually. For the drop down, I like to stay close to the wall to minimize the fall damage again. And then we head into the fight. Do the story stuff. So let's skip past it. And when we're done with this cutscene here, the next point to really pay attention to is we kind of like want to head to the left. You see where the trees are? That is actually a location you can like stand up on. And that is where the next wisp is. I find this very forgettable to catch them all. I'm very guilty of forgetting it in multiple runs in a row. And at this point it's actually faster to just warp to the arena itself than to walk there. Because there's just a bit of a hill on the way, and then we go down into this graveyard area. I find it easy to speak to this gravestone. Try to go a little bit more around. to get to the Wisp like I did here. Just try to keep your distance. The third Rotom that we've seen in this run. And here, I would recommend the Stealth Spray. I tried it without. I thought I had enough luck and skill. These Graveler have an easy time spotting you because they roll around, so they constantly switch like 180 degrees in terms of where they're looking. But they also already heard me here, so I had my troubles here. Just don't be like me. Stealth Spray up for this Wisp so you can warp immediately, pretty much, if you don't get seen. But in this case, I had to walk a long distance just to get out of this corner here. You have the Alpha screaming at me. This spawn will see me. Well, it didn't, luckily. And then I was able to warp. And that is Highlands. Now, it wouldn't be a run if I didn't have a mistake. And there's gonna be a small mistake on Wisp number 5 in Icelands. Just don't pay too much attention to that. And if you watch record, for some reason, like, you'll notice I go to Icelands first and then Fieldlands. I want to do that because it's, for me, I think it's the faster option. The reason is, if you do Icelands and then immediately Fieldlands after, when you finish up Fieldlands, it's gonna be night, and you need it to be night for catching Spiritomb. And that is the strat that I'm essentially using just to skip having to use the sleep function to get to night. Yeah, let's go into Icelands. This battle, and then after I've arranged my team, it is, I think it's equal, probably slightly more optimal to go grab the Skuntank to get rid of Frostlass very quickly. But up here on this ledge is Wisp number 1 that we want to go to. For Wisp number 2, it's just kind of like on the open field. For my movement, I like to kind of be down here and then jump and hopefully grab if it lets me. Didn't let me, so yeah, wasn't quite as worth it. And for here, I just followed this kind of like pathing around here and then more towards there, because up here is our Wisp location that we want to aim for. Like, again, like end of path, usually you go to if you're not sure where exactly it is, but in this case I think it's not too hard to find. It's very much on your way. And then we do the mandatory fight and we speak to Sabi up here, which is already showing 80%. And then we head to the settlement, as also known from 80% for better warp. But on this little icy thing here, you actually have a Wisp on top, which is kind of cool. So don't forget the Wisp here. And then when we're in the settlement, we want to really head deep into. Focus on this tent up here, because behind this tent you have your next Wisp that we want to grab for warping. That's Wisp number 4. And then now we get to the small mistake that I've done, which is a good opportunity to show you a neat backup option. Normally, if after speaking to Sabi, you can kind of like drop down the hill that you're just staring at. Just make sure to not get too much fall damage, maybe even climb your way down. What is easy to forget for me is at the end of this path is the next Wisp. I just didn't care for it. Like, you see it quickly pop up here, and I was just focusing on getting to the next point here, so that is a mistake on my path, my part here. And I just, like, if you forget it, you can actually drop down quite easily for this. Of course, fall damage is always a bit scary, but I don't think it's too unreasonable to go around here. Of course, I grab here just so I don't take too much fall damage. And you can like jump around here on this. It's not too bad if you have that happen. But we're back on the main path here, where I tend to walk down to this. And then, like for the last step, maybe like try to reduce fall damage. Or switch to Sneasler. And yeah, I just head over to the left here. And up here is the next Wisp. A lot of climbing to do. I used this geometry a little bit, then I got pushed out a bit, which is a bit sad, but I just walk up here. And I've actually had a good drop down here, which I'm very proud about. So you have these little in-between steps you can choose here. Just try to aim for that. And then aim for one more drop down. You should be in red after the second fall damage. Don't be scared too much about it. It should be fine. Grab this Wisp up here, which is easy to find. Next Wisp is at the end of this path here. If you can avoid getting seen, fantastic. If not, it's not too bad. Here I was very far away from the Gibble, so the Gibble wasn't angry at me, just clearly, which means after collecting the Wisp, I lost the vision. Then we walk to the settlement, because now we have a bigger path ahead of us. You just walk out to this kind of like river here towards the Alpha Water War, which is here if you've played the game casually or you've done more runs that get that or whatever. You know where I'm heading to, and you have like unknown you up here, but like the important piece is this ledge here. Doesn't really seem that assuming, but that's where our next Wisp is. I find the climb a bit easy. It's not too difficult to get up here, but just climb, use that climb feature, and on the drop down just take a bit of fall damage, you'll be fine. There's not too much fall damage to be taken here. You can kind of like try to get an extra step here and then land close to the hillsides to not take too much, jump over that, try to land up here. And I find it really easy to get baited by this edge. Don't go over this edge, you just get stuck here. As you can see, I just get stuck here. Just take that one extra moment, just walk around here, take the easy surface, just run up here to the end. Like if you're going up and you don't find a Wisp, you're just probably one too early. Just always go this up to the second one. Keep that in mind. And then for the drop down, you can avoid fall damage that way, but I would just avoid this rock because this just pushes you backwards. I was just experimenting with things because this was literally my first time in Icelands in 2 months. So yeah, I just head down into this hole, just like kind of straight line, and the first inland here is where these roar spawn is. Doesn't matter if you get seen or not, just grab the Wisp that is in the left corner here, and then just walk out again, and again head to the right, and then take the next exit, which takes you out of this. To the left you just have your Glaceon spot, like your EV to Glaceon Evo spot. And jump into this where you can grab on. And when you're out, just follow the path that conveniently opens up in front of you. You can take this little moment here, just walk up easily. Maybe take a bit of fall damage here, it doesn't matter too much. The Wisp is in this very open area. That's the only thing you need to remember. And then this part here is weirdly very walkable. Like a little jump, and then you just walk up along the way. Just walk up. It's going to work. It's fantastic. I love it. And you just follow the approach to the arena. I like to stay up. I don't think it's the most optimal path, but it's not too important. And once you've grabbed this, you actually have to drop down a little bit, because I tried to go very direct, but I don't think it's possible. Just try to go a bit around, like jump up to here a bit, and eventually you'll find places you can land on, and then it is a very much straight up walk again. There's so much walkable surfaces around this area, which is really comfy. And now we follow this pathing a little bit. You see these 2 higher positions here. The second one here has the Wisp. Again, you see a bit empty, but it's actually here at the edge here. It's very easy to get fooled. Just see where it pops up if you're a bit unsure. And now we head to that little cave we need to open up, which is over here next to the waterfall. Just open it up, get the Wisp that's at the back of it, and then run out again. We are very close to the end of the video already, with just Fieldlands left, which is fantastic, even though it's already been an hour. Like, there's so much to talk about. Actually, for this movement, I want to just make a more short notice. Like, if you can avoid climbing, that's fantastic. And here you can just walk up until this point, just a short climb. Ideally, probably jump a little bit more further to the left so you can climb, climb up higher to avoid more climbing. And then take this little climb up here to this Wisp, again, between trees. It's very easy to find, in my opinion. Least forgettable Wisp. And now, in my opinion, one of the most forgettable Wisps is kind of like at the waterfall opposite. You have the Alpha Chameco here, but on the other side of the waterfall, on this edge here, you have your 18th Wisp. Just waiting there. It might be a bit sketchy to fall off. Just stop sprinting. Have your A button ready. And grab that. Just follow the path now. And now here, this elevated area to the left of the temple. Don't forget that Wisp. It is the worst backup if you have forgotten it. Just don't head to the temple yet. Just walk up here. Lots of walkable surfaces. Maybe a jump required with a dismount. And then once you've grabbed that, one Wisp left, just head into the cutscene. And then temple movement, already mentioned that. Solve the first puzzle. It's all mentioned in the notes what you need to do. And then right around the corner to the left, you will find your Wisp. So, okay, tired from all this talking. With that, Icelands is done. Now we go to Fieldlands. We go to the right. Like, we have this, a person talking about, like, cricketune line. So, when we go into Highlands, we immediately turn around, head towards this person, because there's a bit of walkable surface here. Head a bit more towards the right, because this is where the Wisp is. A bit unassuming, but it's actually very much on a path. Now we can't go past Alpha Luxio. Probably you should be a bit more to the left than I do. It's something I just don't get to internalize as much. Although I did get pushed out a bit towards the right anyway. And then I had some input troubles. And this is the mistake that I do. Go to the left here. Don't follow my path, go to the left here. Because you gotta drop down to this area here. Like, you can use these Luxios, Lux Rays as your kind of like guide to where to go. Drop down here, just walk up again. Maybe a jump is required. And it's very simple to just walk up. And then you walk around this. Bit more to the left. Don't be like me. Don't thrust your head into a wall. And you're just heading towards the Alpha Snorlax at this point. Because on this elevated surface, on this ledge here, you have Wisp number 3. Now you walk to the Heights camp. And if you know where the Munchlax spawns are, which I'll be going much deeper into detail, you know that on this ledge here, which is actually also part of the distortion area that can spawn here, is the next Wisp. I got a little bit confused because I'm rusty. I haven't played anything like this for months. So I didn't immediately find it. Once you found it, probably better to go to the right here. But I went a bit too far to the left, so I had this whole like mess here. But I caught myself there on the ledge, so it wasn't too bad. I even see a Munchlax over here, which is fun. And you know this entry where we go any percent here. This is where we find our next Wisp up here. Again, end of a path. Next one is again end of a path. I like to go up to the right. It's very simple, not a detour really. You can kind of like follow along. Eventually we'll drop down. I just use this path here because I feel like that's like the most direct line. We go all the way over into this corner to get this Wisp. Now we head towards Alpha Rapidash. There's a bit of a hill here near the Alpha Rapidash that houses our next Wisp. So we just grab that, and then again, it's a bit of zigzag, but these Wisps are kind of out of the way, so there's nothing we can really do. One thing I personally would recommend, because like the cliffs are just way too high here without Braviary, go a bit more to the left here. You can double jump up right here. I just went for that. I don't know if it's the most optimal thing or not. This is literally my first time I'm here. And these surfaces are again very, very, very walkable. Just walk up and again, Heights camp. And now we go out this way. Probably best to climb here. But my brain short-circuited a little bit in this moment because I was just trying to get a PB. I knew it was going to be tight. But if you don't climb, go around like I did. One interesting thing that can happen is this is a spot where Bandit can spawn. If it happens, go around like this or say hello to the Alpha Parasect. Just say hello to the beast and just walk along here. And there's also a Bandit spot further to the right where the where Pikachu is. But we just climb up to this peak here, have Wisp here, and then this is where our next Wisp point is. So we just jump from here into the water. There's not too much ground to hit if you go far. We're landing really far into the river, so there's no problems here. And this is our next Wisp spot to go to. From here on, it's a very simple climb. There's not too much climbing to be done. You see, here's already where the game considers a ledge. From here on, you can just go on weird here. Very walkable surface yet again. So there's not too much of an issue here. And then we go on this hill where we have our next Wisp. We can have problems with alphas here. Just keep that in mind. Just look out for potential alphas to avoid. This is where random spawns can really mess with us, unfortunately. Actually, in this run, I've just hit the 3-hour mark, so that's something I want to beat eventually. As you can see, there's not too much left. But after we get this, we just skip a little bit of walking with warping to the arena. And we follow this path, and then kind of like, this is the guaranteed Baniri spawn area, and we kind of like head towards this. Past the tree in this corner is our Wisp, as you can see. And then we just head along kind of like at the edge of the forest, because there's this kind of like elevated area right here that houses our next Wisp to go to. So we go to that, grab this, and then we go along. If you know where the Moss Rock is, stay on the hill part of it to the left here. Because up here we have our next Wisp to go to. You don't even need to jump if you get the right movement. And then you just want to jump off that little ledge, and then you just can walk right to the Alpha Lopunny, where at the very edge of this path we have our next Wisp to collect. Just make sure to not get screamed down by the Alpha Lopunny. It's not too hard to dodge. Then just head to Alpha Infinape. You have this higher point here that houses our next Wisp. It's very simple to find in my opinion. And then head over to Alpha Alakazam. Next to it we have an elevated surface that houses our next Wisp. I like to go to the right of it so we don't run into that Alpha. But just keep in mind, this elevated part here is where the Wisp is. I went a bit far to the right for my liking, so I had Luxio screaming at me, so I had Pokemon noticing me. And I was just hopeful that I would just not be noticed anymore. I got lucky in this case, so I escaped quite quickly. And we go back to the Heights camp, because we have 3 more to collect, and now probably less jumping required if you just go more climbing here. But I like to do this first part with Wheelier and then climb up with Sneasler here at the edge of this plateau where Wheelier is first seen. You have another Wisp, and then you kind of drop down, follow this path. Take your steps in between so your fall damage isn't too big. It's really easy to die here in my opinion, so just keep that in mind and just kind of straight line it. There's this hill part here where you have your next Wisp, and now we go out to this island, which I kind of like to call Apom Island. We just have Apom spawn on there, nothing else. Maybe something else if it's night, but you see that Apom. You see the Wisp, you already saw it for a long time, so you know it's night. And that is why I do Fieldlands after Icelands, and with that, we've gotten all the Wisps, so it's just time to unlock Spiritomb. So we go into the village, you see Vesa there, we speak to Vesa, we go into Mirelands to the settlement, and we just straight up head north. And you see these ledges here, this is where you just want to climb up. With Braviary you can take some extra steps to be quicker for later categories. I'll be able to show that too. I'll show it off hopefully. Maybe it's in my PV, maybe it's not. But on this ruins part, you have this thing here. Just step straight up already. Here's a cutscene trigger that you'll run into. And then you do your thing. After this, I find it easier to just stop, get onto Weird Ear and grab this. I feel like it's a bit quicker in terms of animations. That's why I do it. And one thing I personally can recommend is, once you've done this, collected this, and the mission's over, you get that text with seems like a Pokemon's watching you or whatever. I like to head towards the stone to try to get out of the vision range, and Spiritomb luckily spawned facing this way, so I didn't have an issue with that. I had to follow it a little bit. I had items that were able to help me to catch very consistently. Like if you have Ultra Ball and a cake, I think it's guaranteed. but I didn't have Ultra Ball, and I just wanted to get a PB. I knew I had a few seconds left. As you can see, just 12 seconds until PB is done. Keep in mind, the whole catch animation needs to be in there too. Until the fireworks start, that's where the timing ends. So, yeah, in this case, I just backstruck with leading ball to get the unspotted bonus, the sneak bonus of being unspotted. Didn't quite get it, so second attempt, not even backstrike. Got the short hop that confirmed the catch. And as you can see, until 23 there wasn't much left, and yeah. Just to witness the glorious end to the run. I'm a frame advance for a little bit more. Eventually the UI is gonna freak out, which is actually very consistent in terms of timing out of battle. You see suddenly disappeared, and your UI disappears, and then disappears, and this part of the UI now goes away for some reason. And when this is fully visible again, you'll notice, like, right now, this is the start of the fireworks, this is the end of the run. 4 frames later, my auto split has actually managed to press the button. It's always 4 frames late or 5 frames late. It's very consistent at least, so this is a very exact timing I got for my run, if you see the video. But yeah, that is Catch Spiritomb. That is all you need to know for this category. For Spiritomb itself, the food preferences are in the research sheet that I have. But if you don't want to look it up there, it's mushroom and beans for the cakes that it likes. It's very consistent with many other ghost Pokemon. But that is all you need to know for Catch Spiritomb. I hope this whole listing of the Wisps and everything will be helpful. We'll see how I go about catch them all, and Shiny Charm is probably gonna be more suggestive than like saying you have to do this or that, because every run is different depending on what distortion you get, what spawns you get, what just general anything that happens. Very much reactive. I'm just gonna give like recommendations based on what I got to give you a bit of a starting point. It's not gonna really follow the notes much. The notes are there to kind of like give a sense of a structure if you're new, but yeah. I'll get into that for that, but that is it for this category. Last of the kind of more fixed ones, and yeah. I'm gonna go eat lunch and then get on with the tutorial recording. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.